All right, good morning. Let's see what we're working with today in the charts. So stream's all good. Okay, so starting with Aussie CAD. Looks like it's kind of just ranging. It's obviously still bearish. It's below this moving average up here. It broke the supply zone up here. Had a big bullish day a couple days ago. Now today it was bullish, but it is rejecting quite a bit. I don't expect this to do much to finish off the month. It's probably going to be most pairs. It's probably what I'm going to be saying about most of the pairs, but yeah, I think Aussie CAD is still bearish, but it's just going to kind of range for the rest of the month between this supply zone and this supply zone. I would have to break, this area here for it to go lower, obviously. Don't know if it's going to have the momentum to do so this month. We only have 3 days left in the month, today, tomorrow, and then Monday, technically, so don't see it doing a whole lot. So that's Aussie CAD. Aussie Swiss, yeah, came up to this zone, retested, which is really nice to see. It's the proper way for pairs to move. So after they break a significant zone like this, to retest it even multiple times. You see these wicks here, 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 and then a big bearish candle out of the zone again. So it really just sets the pace and tells you that this is a fair price. We've tried to go higher, we cannot go higher, so we're gonna go lower. And that's good. That's how you know Aussie Swiss is fair priced and it's moving accordingly. So it's not just if price just keeps moving down, and this goes for any pair, if price just keeps moving down, let's say, and it never comes back, then you don't really know if that's the price. And then if it does, if some bulls do come into the market, it usually shoots through the roof because there was no real resistance ever created during the full market movement. So whereas this is perfect, right? Like this created this really nice zone that it respected, then it finally broke this zone, and then it retested it. So, and now we're seeing that it's still, the zone is still holding, and it's broken below this zone, and now this zone is going to function a nice area of resistance, right, or support to the downside, I guess you could call it. And now it's got to break this one. So I do think this is going to head lower. It is very bearish, way below this 200-day moving average. So I do think it's going to head lower. This is the monthly low range that I had set up. It's roughly 300 pips, what the pair usually moves in a month. It's not going to hit that, I don't think. I don't think in the next 3 days it's going to do another 130 pips, but I mean, if it breaks its zone, it could actually, likely. It only moves about on the day. It's almost at 50 already today. So odds are it's not going to hit its monthly low, but it is moving well. And I do like these Swiss pairs and the way they trade. Aussie yen, okay. Not much happening, kind of higher highs, higher lows, but not a ton of price action. Don't think this is going to hit its monthly low either, but this is another pair we're just going to have to wait. I kind of like this zone, to be honest. So we'll see what this does to end the month, because right now there's really not much we can do with probably most of the yen pairs, but especially Aussie yen here. It's just kind of range between these two zones. It is bullish, but it's kind of just in a consolidating phase right now, where before it continues its upwards trend, it's going to just have to kind of move sideways a little bit, create its little areas of resistance. So like there's one, there's another one here. So it is creating these supply areas for the bulls, which is nice. And I don't know if it'll actually go lower than any of these zones, so it might basically be at its buying potential right away. But until the significant bulls move into the market and move it upwards, it's not worth getting into. So I would just wait till next month, next week, and go from there. We'll see if the bulls really re-enter the yen pairs and take advantage of that. So that's Aussie yen. Aussie Kiwi looks like it's kind of resuming its downward movement. It is technically bullish. It is above this moving average, but this has been a significant zone. It's right at a whole level, this 109 level. So I do think that this is going to keep going lower, but I don't know how much. I don't think a lot, and I don't think it's really worth trading. Some areas here. This is its full monthly range, about 350 pips, but do not think it's going to hit that this month. I think, we'll definitely have to wait for Aussie Kiwi here. We're definitely going to have to wait for some significant movements, either up or down, to really break that range or really solidify the range, because right now it's ranging, but it's just not enough to really enter any trades and make money on. Okay, Aussie dollar, so bullish because it's above this moving average, but struggling a bit. This pair is also range. You can see it hasn't made a higher high since mid-June. Right here, it respected this zone, came down, but now it's respecting this big zone. So we'll just really have to wait till price breaks this upper area here, or at least this area here. If it breaks this area, then we're probably good to go keep shorting it, and then it'll be below this moving average as well. So we'll have to wait for one of those things to occur. Wow, this is interesting. So Aussie 200, this index that I've been waiting to short is absolutely breaking up to, you know, the upside. So for whatever reason, there's massive bullish momentum coming into this as well. So I mean, didn't take any trades because I didn't get the right entries, obviously, which is good because I would have lost those trades. So, you know, based on this, look at a couple of the monthly range. It's just over its monthly, and this is massive right here. So this is on the monthly. You can see this area, anything above 75.20 is, you know, highly respected to reject. So I don't see this coming up much higher. I'm going to have to wait. Can even this down a little bit here. Yeah, I'm going to set an alert here because this is, I mean, this is obviously coming up way higher than I thought, but I don't think it's going to come up much higher. I think as soon as it hits this area, it's going to be just ripe for shorting. So for whatever reason, there's a ton of bullish momentum coming into this zone, so it will, you know, price is moving really quickly, so we'll be able to get in on a nice trade relatively soon, probably next week. And you know, this is a much more respected area than price was over here, so I think this is actually going to serve me better, which is nice. But we'll break this all down probably tomorrow or Monday or on the weekend, and we'll just see. We have to wait until, like, obviously this is a very bullish candle, so like there's no sense of even coming up with any short ideas yet, but soon. So what'll happen is we'll need price to enter this zone, then find resistance. Like, we can't have big bull candles like this and be considering shorting. So we're going to need, we'll say today, this in theory, for like education purposes, we'll wait for today to close. Let's say it closes like this, and then tomorrow another bull candle into this zone, but it's a lot smaller and there's more wick. Let's say it goes into the zone and then wicks out quite a bit. Then that's a good sign that momentum is changing, and then you would wait a couple more days just to really insert that momentum switch, and then you would enter your downwards position, you know, based on those really weak candles, and then a bearish engulfing candle that really signals that price is changing direction. And especially after it's in this major zone of rejection, that's a great sign. That's what we're going to wait for Aussie 200 and to take advantage of. Okay, so CAD Swiss came back down. Hey, it was kind of making its monthly retracement, but don't think it's going to do that now, creating a lot of resistance in this area though. So this is, can delete this. I don't think it's going to, well, it still could. I mean, it still could make its retracement. It'll take more than the rest of the month, but I mean, it is finding this area of support right at the C5 level here. So tough to say. Obviously it is bearish, so I'm more inclined to short it, just like all the other Swiss pairs. But because it's rejecting this zone this many times, it demonstrates that it wants to maybe go higher and still retrace. So I would wait on this. I mean, if price breaks this level, if it crashes through here and then retests it all, then I would say, and fails, let's say the retest must fail, then I would say you're good to keep shorting it. So again, this is something that'll take place next week, next month, and then we'll have to see from there. I would not buy it yet, just because it is so bearish. I mean, based on this price action, these wicks, you know, rejecting, you would think that, you know, it's a good buy, and maybe it is, because there's so much bearish momentum. And if you think about this, yes, it's rejecting, but there's no bullish momentum. There's not, like, there was this big bull candle here, and then a pullback candle, and then another bull candle, but then, you know, the last 2 days have been big bearish candles. So, you know, even though price is rejecting this area, there's not enough bullish momentum to really, let's say, enter a long trade. Just because a few candles are rejecting doesn't mean, I mean, that could just mean that the shorts are weak, the bears are weak. But if the bulls are also weak, then you don't want to enter that trade either, because it's not going to move in your favor. Because this overall, all the Swiss pairs are so bearish, by you entering a long trade here, you'll usually get destroyed because, you know, it is bearish, right? So it's going to go against you. And as soon as it cracks this zone, this major level holding it, and who knows where it's going to go, it'll probably do another 300 pips down. So it's not a trade I want to be in long. So I'm going to wait on CAD Swiss as well. CAD Yen, you know, made its monthly move here, then made its full monthly retracement. So like super healthy, consistent movement on CAD Yen. So nice to see that. I like when price moves properly. Doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's nice. You can see it's kind of forming an area of resistance here, which is good. Similar to Aussie yen, they're consolidating, but they're building up areas of support. So obviously it was this big area to begin with, right around the like 105 level kind of thing, and now it's a little bit higher. You know, this is kind of like this is the 105 support. Now this is the 106 support level. So I would say that, you know, it's finding its grounds, which is nice. Once it cracks this area up here, you know, this 107.5 level kind of thing, then there's a good chance that price is headed back up, you know, and it will go for this zone and then further on, and it'll still continue its massive bullish trend. See, it's way above this moving average. So still waiting on CAD yen, still waiting on most of the yen pairs, I believe. So, but this is a good sign. This is a good sign that, you know, price is moving like I talked about earlier. It's really good when price makes massive moves like this. People think that, you know, it'll just keep going up forever, which is not true. And, you know, they never want any pullbacks. I do. I like when price, before I like, yes, this is bullish and yes, I want to buy this, but if it just keeps doing this, there's not really any like protection or any real like clarification that it's a fair price. So until price comes down, you know, like it had, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full down days in a row, and then it found this massive level of support, which it rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So like this tells me that yes, CAD yen is bullish, and yes, this is a, you know, fair price now, because we know that it tried to go lower and it couldn't do it. So like nobody wants to pay, you know, nobody is going to pay less than 105 for this. Like that is the price. So that was established right here. So I really like price action like that. I think that to me, fundamentally, it makes sense. It makes sense that to determine a price, it's got to go up and down, and then both areas have to be secured to one extent or the other. So it went all the way up high. It went up to, you know, the 109 area here, and then no one was buying it after 109, so it came back down to 105, and then it got, you know, right back up. So it's like, you know, above 109 is expensive, but below 105 is too cheap, and we're not paying less than 105. So that's CAD yen. There's a kind of a long explanation, but I think it's good, healthy price action. I think it's something that I think it's good to learn, and it's good to appreciate that. You know, look for other pairs that do the same thing. So Swiss yen, one of my favorite pairs. So very bullish, consolidating ish, if you can even call it that, with the just like the other yen pairs. But this thing wants to go higher. There's not much, you know, just like I was saying with CAD yen, how it pulled back and established that safety net. You know, Swiss yen is kind of establishing the safety nets like as it keeps making higher highs. So, you know, this massive bullish day here last Friday, a little bit of a pullback, and is now like finding its resistance. So this is most likely a good buy next month. I'm going to wait until next month, but I do think it's a solid buy. I think you know, it keeps going up, and it does have its pullbacks. They're just not big. That's the thing. Unlike the other yen pairs that retrace, you know, and pull back quite a bit, you know, 300, 400, 500 pips. This just doesn't. This is its pullback. It's like 100 pips, not even. So then it finds this lower low. Although today, I mean, this candle, there's still 8 hours left on this candle to close, but it is creating a bit of resistance. So I would wait for next month, and I would wait for price to break this area. Obviously the 164.5 is the monthly range, so it's 600 pips, which is what this normally moves. So there's a good chance it still does that, to be honest. And then if price breaks this little area here and hits the 164.5 level, then the month, I would say that's a great positioning to enter longs for next month. We'll have to wait for that. So dollar index, okay, so made its monthly bearish move. It is bearish. It's below this moving average, and then it's came up here, hit this 50% level like I thought it would, and now it's selling back off. Today it's a bear candle, but it's rejecting pretty hard. And this candle appears to be like this 4-hour candle. Granted, there's still over 3 hours left for it, but very bullish out of the gate. So the dollar index, kind of interesting. Bearish, obviously, but creating some, you know, it's providing some bullish momentum all of a sudden. So especially coming back off this retracement. As it was retracing, there's some bullish steam, you know, and then it hit its 50% level, so likely to keep heading down now. but it just seems like there's still a lot of bullish momentum in it. So it might have to it might come back up to here and retest this level, this 101 level. So I would wait on this. I would just kind of keep watching this dollar index, because depending on the direction this dollar index shifts, starting off the month, next month, August, I mean, that'll dictate a lot of the, well, especially all the US pairs, but that'll dictate a lot of movement in the market depending on the strength of the dollar and which direction it wants to go to. Because right now you don't really know, because it is bearish, but it is providing some bull momentum. So I have to wait on the dollar index. This Euro 50, another weird index. So struggling with this zone, obviously printing a massive bull candle into this zone today. We'll see how this closes. If this closes anything like this, I would say it's going to break this zone, but I don't see, the fundamentals don't really add up in the sense that, and with interest rates going up through the roof, and I mean even the European interest rate right now today goes up. This doesn't make sense that this keeps going higher. And I mean, it hasn't went higher, like since April. It hasn't broken this zone. It's tested it many times, but for all this bullish momentum to head into this zone, it's kind of weird. But I mean, price can do whatever it can do, so it could break this zone and keep heading higher. I'm gonna wait and see how this closes. I would like this to pull back dramatically, especially today, and pull back out of this zone. But you can see that it has created some significant resistance here. So this used to be the low, the support zone, down here. Now it's up here. So there are technically higher lows that it's creating on its movement. So, and I mean, it is still above this moving average. So yeah, this index is iffy. I'm going to wait and see. I really do want to short it, but not yet, obviously, because there's just so much bullish momentum heading into the zone. And it created a support level, so those are two red flags, and it's above this moving average. So that tells me do not short this yet, but I do want to. I think it's heavy. I do think it's going to head down. I do think this area was very significant and respected for a long time. So I'm waiting on this. Do think it's going to be ripe for selling eventually, hopefully soon, that I can make some money off it. Okay, Euro Aussie, bullish. It's above the moving average. Hit this zone few times, 1, 2, 3, selling off, struggling to break this lower zone, kind of just ranging and consolidating these last couple weeks of the month. So we'll see how it finishes up this month. If it breaks below this zone, then direction might be changing. You can see that on the weekly. This would have to close. It's still got the rest of today, which is 9 hours, and then tomorrow, so another full day. But this weekly candle is a bearish engulfing candle if it was to close today. So we'll watch how that closes tomorrow. And you can see that price came into this major area here and was rejected. So this could be signs of the trend changing with Euro Aussie, but we don't know yet. We don't know for sure. So we have to wait. We got to see if either some, more bearish momentum comes into the market, and then ideally test this moving average, because then we know price has switched. But if coming into next month, when everyone returns back to work, these institutions start buying up the euro, if they do decide to buy up the euro, and price breaks this zone, then we know we're probably headed higher for the next month. And this moves pretty good. This moves 650 pips a month. So as soon as this sets its pace, whether it wants to completely switch trends and head down, crack this moving average and keep heading lower, then there's that. Or if it breaks this zone up here, then we want to head higher next month, and we'll be able to get in on a position early on in the month that'll probably make 500-600 pips. We just have to determine which direction it's most likely going to move for the month, and that's going to be based on how this month closes. So that is Euro Aussie. Nothing really taking place yet, but we'll see next week. Okay, so Euro CAD, bullish, but getting awfully close to this moving average now. It did its full monthly move, pulled back to this 50%, this 618 zone perfectly, so I really like that. Now it's just kind of taking its time, but it does seem to be finding some resistance here. So this is a great sign that next month this will be a continued buy, which, going back to Euro Aussie, might push it back up. So yeah, I could see some euro momentum coming back in. This is a pretty bearish candle that it's printing today. It is overextended on the day. It's at 123 pips already. It usually moves about 100. So we'll see if this enters this zone and gets rejected, but you can see rejection here, 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 and then a nice one here with this candle. So I think Euro CAD will head higher next month, but we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, Euro Swiss. So I marked this up a few days ago, and it clearly did exactly what I wanted it to do, which is wild that it did it so perfectly. Usually price doesn't work out that nicely, but this time it did. So, you know, Euro Swiss has completely hit its monthly range. This 250 pip range here, it completed perfectly. So now I would wait for some sort of, you know, I do think this is still obviously bearish. It's way below the moving average, and I think this is going to be a good continuous short, but I would wait for an entry. You can set an alert up here. You want an entry that is right at an area of resistance, and so right now we don't know what that is because because price has continuously just moved down. Yes, it's still printing some, you know, bearish candles to end the month, but all of a sudden what can happen is because every day it's entering a new zone that doesn't have history, especially recent history, we don't know what to expect from it. So what you got to do is wait for, like, obviously this is still bearish and obviously you could still short it because of that, but I like to wait for price to enter a zone where there's been significant action before. So this is one before. This zone tells a story. So price came down, rejected, you know, rejected here, and then finally smashed it. So I want price to come back up to this zone, or if it creates its own zone here, that's fine, but I need it to come back to a zone where there was previous, you know, bulls and bears fighting, so that I know that it's a fair price to enter, and then the direction makes sense. Because right now, for all I know, Euro Swiss is very underpriced, and then, you know, bulls come in and just absolutely, you know, just skyrockets, right? So like, I wouldn't want to enter a short right now, and then tomorrow this huge bullish candle comes in, because it turns out that, you know, price is way below its, you know, its actual price, like its fair price. So, you know, fair price might be up here, so I want to see price come up to here and then reject this area, because then I know, okay, you know, Euro Swiss isn't worth more than 96 level, but maybe it's worth more than the 95 level. So I don't want to get stuck, you know, where I don't want to be. I want to wait for price to come to where I want to sell it, and I want to make sure this is still sellable. So for all I know, once bullish momentum comes into this market, because let's say Euro Swiss is very underpriced, so as soon as the bulls come in, you know, price might shoot right through this zone. It might keep going up to here. So I don't want to be in a short position and have price go like this. So I will wait for it to come up on its own, come up to one of my zones, and or create a new zone, and then enter a short from there. So Euro Pound came up to this zone, you know, big rejection, is making its way back down. Obviously has to clear this zone too. It is bearish, so they're, you know, likely a good short position next month, but I'll set an alert here. It's got to break this zone. This zone is so significant, so if it doesn't break the zone, I'm not shorting it. But if it does break this zone, especially to end the month, let's say, or yeah, to end the month, so on, you know, as of Monday, if price comes below this zone and closes below this zone, then you're probably good to short all of next month. And then I would set up a nice trade position with that, and you know, make some good pips on that next monthly movement. Okay, Euro Yen, nothing much happening. The zone's kind of irrelevant now, so basically just waiting for the yen pairs to resume their upwards trend. So in order to do that, I mean, price has to re-hit this zone up here close to this 158 level. Right now it's just kind of putzing around. I mean, it does seem to be finding some new resistance zones, so it's good in that sense. Like, this was obviously a level, this before area, then it came up, you know, tried to retest this recent high. Now it came back down, and it's finding its new area, you know, the 155 level. It's now rejecting. So it rejected the 154, now it's rejecting the 155. It's probably going to slowly make its way up, reject the 156, and then, you know, break this major level here, so this 158 level, and then continue to head higher. So I think this will be a good money maker soon. I'm going to wait till next month, enter anything though, and we'll see how it plays out. Euro Kiwi, okay, so hit this zone 3 times, big bearish candle out of it, is kind of, doesn't really know what it wants to do, is kind of just ranging. It never hit its monthly range, so that kind of tells me that the trend is weakening. If it was going to continue to be very bullish like it was, then it probably would have hit its range no problem, but doesn't appear to be doing so. So I would wait for this. I would wait for price to either break this main zone here, or at least re-enter it with a lot of bullish momentum, or break this zone. If it breaks this zone, there's a good chance that the trend is completely changing and it's going to keep heading lower. So Euro Kiwi is just a pair that we will have to wait on. You can see that it's kind of on the 4 hour here, you can see that it's kind of creating resistance, but it's just not significant enough to obviously enter a trade, especially because the entries and exits are not very clear yet. So you're gonna have to wait till next month to see if this does anything. I think it will. Yeah, see, this zone is not significant. It's not even worth putting on there. So we gotta wait for it to enter these main zones, either this one or this one, before taking any trade. Euro dollar, okay, so this is good. Did its full monthly movement. Perfect movement straight up to its range, hit this 112.5 level, rejected, created this area of resistance up here, then pulled back, did its nice full 50% retracement of the month. So that, I mean, that's perfect. You love to see that. And now it looked like it was going to continue upwards, but we got a lot of bear momentum coming in. I mean, this candle completely pulled back and is now engulfing yesterday's. So this tells me that it might actually want to keep heading lower depending on how today closes. Obviously this is still bullish, and again, this comes down to the dollar index, and like I was saying earlier, and how that moves will really dictate these other dollar pairs. But as far as the euro dollar goes, I would just wait. I would wait for significant bullish momentum to re-enter the market. I mean, this might just keep heading lower slowly until it finds an area. I mean, it might find an area like back down here at this 108 level, or something even in between here and here. So yeah, that's euro dollar. We're just gonna have to wait. I don't see, it is still very bullish. I mean, it's way above the moving average. This was a nice bull leg that it did for the month, a nice perfect retrace. So I mean, it could just be consolidating and building resistance in this retracement area, which is totally possible. And I would just look to enter longs and continue the trend next month. Moving on to pound Aussie. So super bullish, but is now coming back and fighting this area. So we'll see if it breaks. I think it will break this area and head lower. And I think if you look at these higher time frames, you can see significant resistance on this monthly. So I kind of do think that pound Aussie is switching directions overall. Just have to wait to make sure that is the case. So just gonna have to be really patient for the next few days. I mean, that is what trading is patience. The more patient and disciplined you are, the more money you'll make. And it seems counterintuitive because you think you have to be aggressive and you have to enter every position and jump on this and that, and then you will get burned so bad. Did that for many years. So now we just be patient and we let price come to us. So I do want to enter shorts on this, but I need more clarification. I need this to break this area. I need this, this weekly to close engulfing. I need this monthly to close more full, and then we will start looking for short positions. I basically overall need price to break this area and then retest it and tell me that it doesn't want to go above this level. Once it breaks this, this 190 level, it's about 180, between 189.5 and 190 kind of thing. Once it breaks that level and holds below it, then that tells me, okay, price wants to head down. But until then, we are doing nothing. Pound CAD, kind of similar. Just have to wait. Like it is bullish, but hasn't made a new high. Last week was a bearish engulfing candle. This is a major zone that it wasn't able to break. On the weekly, you look at the monthly, it's the same thing. This huge rejection. Like if this monthly candle closed right now, you can see that price came all the way up into this monthly zone here, completely rejected. So like that tells me it wants to go lower. So this is just very similar to pound Aussie that we just looked at. I want to short this, but I want to wait for a little bit more clarification. I want price to break these couple zones here, and then test this moving average. And then if it does that and everything looks good, then you start entering shorts and you start hitting these, like this pair moves 600 pips a month. So I mean, if you can catch a good monthly move right at the start, which I intend to do, then you make really good money with very high reward with very little risk, and that's the way to do it. So, but in order to hit those setups properly, effectively, you have to wait. So I need this to show me more bearish momentum. I mean, you can see that on the 4 hour price, this is quite a bit of bearish momentum, and it tested this moving average, broke below, but then broke above it, and now it's printing a huge bearish 4 hour candle. So I mean, I can see that there is bear momentum in the market, just not enough yet. I need it to crack some major levels and then we can enter. But I mean, this is a good sign that things are changing around, that the bears are coming in, so we just need them to fully take control. Probably break this 168 level, test this moving average, test these zones here, these low zones, and then go from there and enter some big short positions to take advantage of that full monthly range and get the most pips we possibly can. Okay, so pound Swiss, I love these Swiss pairs, so I'll probably delete some of these zones here. So it completed just about its full monthly movement, came up just shy, but you can see a lot of wicks here, so it is having a tougher time going lower. There is resistance here, so I can actually delete this here. So this zone is the zone to break. I do think it will break it. I do think pound Swiss is still very bearish. You can see the other pound pairs are selling off. Even the bullish ones like pound Aussie, pound CAD, the trend seems to be switching, so that's a good sign, because pound Swiss was already bearish, and so if those pairs are also going bearish, then this will stay bearish and continuously be very bearish. So I do think next month it'll crack this zone. Then I think we can make what is range on this is about 400 pips. So I'm looking to short this next month, but it's got to break this zone first, just like it broke all these other ones. This is very good price action. Really happy with the way pound Swiss has been moving, so I'm going to short it, but it'll be probably next month after it breaks this zone. Pound yen, unlike the other yen pairs, I do believe unlike the other pound pairs, I do believe this is still bullish. I think the yen pairs just have to resume their normal movements. I just don't think there's enough momentum in them right now, but I think there will be. So judging on this, huge move, obviously pulled back, found some resistance, came up, couldn't break this area, but then so came back down, retested this area at a little bit higher even. It showed resistance, so then a big bull candle into this zone again, pulling back.